Howdy Stallions. In this brief presentation, we will summarize student learning objectives and discuss the timeline for implementation in next year's T-TESS process. This session will provide an introduction. Then on February 27th for our faculty meeting, we will further explore subject-specific examples of writing student learning objectives. We are breaking this required 3-hour training into 3 parts. Today's the introduction. Next week, we're looking at examples and tools, and then in your PLC, you can, if you wish, collaboratively come up with a SLO for your team level. The ask is that you have your 2018-2019 SLO goal established in April for your summative review with your T-TESS administrator. Moving on. Regardless if our school calls them PLCs, grade level planning, meetings, late starts, or any other title, the purpose of teachers meeting together is to focus on learning, work collaboratively, and focus on results. SLOs are a natural extension of our work. Why growth model? Why SLO? Because as lifelong learners, we pursue knowledge, we pursue getting better, we are intrinsically motivated. So yes, we want to sharpen our saw, we want to get better at our practice, we want to become master teachers. It is good for teachers, and through that work, our students will benefit. We will increase their academic performance. We're going to start this training this spring, starting with today. And we are going to write our SLO goal for April, and we are going to minimize the work that we have to do it in August. We know the greatest present that we can give teachers is time, and obviously in August you have other things on your plate. So let's get started and hit the ground running. Thanks for having an open mind and being flexible. Okay, growth versus proficiency. Growth is improvement over time. Proficiency is, did I meet that standard at a specific point in time? So the characteristics of a growth model are, as we said, it measures academic progress over time, it establishes a baseline for improvement, and it provides an explanation and expectations for that growth. So many of us did not participate in the SLO pilot, which is fine. We have those professionals and those experts now on our campus that can help us on this journey. If you were not in the SLO pilot, then you had a teacher professional goal. That's what you started back in August or last spring with your appraiser, and you looked at a way that you could improve your practice, and you looked at a way to measure it. So now the student growth model, the SLO, is how we're going to measure did our practice that we focused on, did it improve a student's deficiency? Not a deficiency, but students' deficiencies. For instance, inferences. Students struggle with inferencing skills. So is there some way that I could focus on that and then think of a practice that I could do that would enable me to improve? So these two now are synonymous with each other. Teacher professional goal and our SLO. Eric Jensen says, hey, as an educator, look in the mirror. Unless you're bald, and then you struggle with that. But either way, we look in the mirror and we are reflective in our practice. Sounds good. That's what we do. This image is an example of the student appraiser teacher triangle. Of course, the teacher is going to establish baseline and progress for the student. The appraiser then is going to provide the teacher some feedback. The teacher will then use baseline data, midterm data to monitor and adjust instruction to meet the goal for the students. This is the T-TESS connection. We have 4 domains in T-TESS. and within those 4 domains are 4 dimensions. We're going to add SLO as a 17th dimension. Here are the R naughts and the R's of SLO objectives. Give you a second to look over those. And once again, we said that the teacher professional goal and the SLO statement are combined and they're synonymous with each other. The SLO is the measurement. The professional goal is the practice that we are going to refine or become better at. All right. Let's look at a sentence stem that's going to provide us a structure, a simple structure that will help us to think about what we need to learn to help our students learn. Ideally, your entry point should be students' needs. So here's an example. I want my students to get better at blank. I want my students to get better at blank. And therefore, I need to blank. As the principal, I wanted our campus to improve on question 3 of PLC. What do we do when they haven't learned it? I too am required to do a student learning objective in my appraisal. I wanted our campus to get better at the efficiency and productivity of the PLC process. So I needed to develop strategies that would assist our teams in moving forward. I made the student learning objective that stated, I will develop a tiered sequence to implement and monitor the PLC process on our campus so that students will receive targeted interventions to increase student achievement by 10%. The measurements that I would monitor this progress were PLC rubrics, planning visits, checkpoints, the school improvement plan, CDB data, and ultimately end of the year student achievement data. As you begin, start by thinking about foundational skills. These are skills that matter now and will matter in the future. Then we think about the needs of our students. Based on your best understanding of students' needs and using your past experience. Let's now look at an example. Give you a second to read this. Here again, we have the sentence stem, and then the underlying part is what the teacher will do. What is the teacher's goal? The teacher's goal is to improve on the practice of crafting targeted, higher order thinking questions. So, how might the teacher improve in this area? Attending PD, book studies, research, and PLC conversations, and etc. The second part of the sentence stem is the SLO. It states, students can make inferences supported by text evidence. Do you see the connection between what the students need to learn and what the teacher will learn? Yes. Now let's check the quality of our SLO statement by asking ourselves some guiding questions. Let you briefly read over these without my big head in the way at the bottom. I apologize. Brief summary. Make sure it's something that you need to improve on. If you're a tech guru on our campus, that's not a place that you need to refine, so that wouldn't fit well in the beginning part for how the teacher can improve. Make sure that it's measurable. Not only is it measurable, but how will you measure it? That's very important going in. Don't make it so robust that you can't specifically define it with an inventory, with a rubric, with a pre-test, post-test, and so forth. So think about that going in. How do the students need to improve? How will I measure that? Is there a rubric or something that I can do that will be sustained over the year? Over the year, can I monitor that progress? We don't want it just to be a one and done thing. This is growth throughout the year because we wanted to monitor mid-year based on our students' growth, and if there needs to be adjustment because there isn't growth, then we need to do that. So use these guiding questions to check the quality of your SLO. And this is what we just talked about. How might a teacher measure that goal? Looking at baseline data, CDB data, inventories, rubrics. Mid-year, we're probably going to use the same inventory, the same rubric, the same, maybe not the same test, but maybe we could use that rubric if it was a writing, right? We could do a scale based on criteria that was in the rubric. And of course, at the end of the year. And ultimately, that's where we want them to be. Timeline. August is not, August is February for us. We're going to start this SLO training today in February, and this whole timeline can be shifted up. So I want to thank you for your diligence and your participation in today's session. Thank you for being attentive and answering those questions. This will help us jumpstart next Tuesday's faculty meeting so we can get in with our learning groups. I appreciate you, folks. Our teachers are the best. You are the reason that we can say that we are committed to student achievement. I appreciate you. This is a great day to be alive and be a folk stallion. Have a great day.